Let's speak with Alex Wilson, Reform UK London Assembly member. Alex, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Ian. Great to be with you.
Nice to have you. We'll talk about the public transport safety issue in a second, because, of course, you're a London politician. Of course, London is the epicentre of commuters. We'll come to that in a moment. Just on this first story, I know that Reform have talked a lot and don't hide away from talking a lot about foreign criminals and what the issues behind it are, the statistics behind it. And we learned today that we've got a quarter of foreign sex offenders, this is just sex offenders, coming from 5 specific countries. What do you make of that, Alex?
Yeah, well, first thing to do is congratulate the Telegraph for submitting the FOIs to get that information in the first place. This is information that really ought to be publicly available by default, but it's not. You know, the government doesn't like releasing this kind of information because they don't want people to know and they don't want people to talk about it. But no, well done for the Telegraph in getting that. It's not surprising that there are certain offences where we do have a higher proportion of offenders from certain countries and backgrounds. But the thing is, what do we do about it? We've got nearly 11,000 foreign offenders in British jails. We know we have a jail overcrowding crisis. We had the government early releasing dangerous prisoners who then going on to offend again, and even just in the last week or so, someone's been charged with murder, having been released early under the government scheme. The first duty of a government is to keep its people safe, and this government is not doing that. One way they could try and do that is, rather than releasing prisoners early, deporting foreign prisoners, send them back to where they should be, and where which is not here clogging up our jails. And then you've got the space in those jails to keep people in for longer that need to be kept there.
And what in terms of these statistics, I suppose the reason why politicians shun away from this is so that there isn't this kind of pile-on that every time you meet, for example, a Bangladeshi, you're going to go, he's probably a sex offender, when he's probably not a sex offender. It's just that statistically, that particular group had the highest proportion jailed for sex offences, 42.3% of 130 prisoners. That's over double the British rate. Now, you can wear 2 hats on this, can't you, Alex? You can acknowledge that, of course, the average person, the average Bangladeshi, is probably the person that owns your curry house, by the way, who are mostly Bangladeshi-owned, as distinct from Indian, a common misconception. But nonetheless, we can't run away from that stat, that 42.3%, almost half of those prisoners that are from that country have carried out a sex offence, double what you would expect in a population. We can't ignore that.
We can't ignore it. We shouldn't ignore it. And sunlight is the best disinfectant, isn't it? So the more information people have and that the government are prepared to share with people, the easier it will be to find solutions to deal with these problems. And that cuts right across the board of all kinds of offences, and not just criminal offences, but just policy generally. The more information people have, the better informed they will be, and the more likely we'll end up with workable solutions.
Indeed. Let's move to this horrendous story over the weekend. Of course, somebody has now been charged, so we're limited on what we can say specifically about the case. It won't stop social media doing what it always does, and the speculation there is rife. However, in the real world, we know that a man has been charged with 11 counts of attempted murder after this horrifying attack. Now, this, of course, has left 11 people injured to varying degrees, some very, very badly and clearly life-changing. But in terms of safety, now this has come up a lot. We know that your neck of the woods, looking after your area, Alex, and the debates you have at the London Assembly about transport, which normally falls on deaf ears with the Mayor of London. But understandably, if you're using, for example, the tube late at night, I don't imagine everybody feels completely safe in that situation.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, this incident that happened over the weekend, absolutely terrifying, and everyone's thoughts are with the victims as they make their recovery. And obviously, we've heard that the suspect has now been charged, and that will work its way through the system. But you're right. There's a question more widely about safety on the transport network. Thankfully, events like Saturday nights are very, very rare, but that doesn't mean that the transport network is completely safe. It's not. We had, just in the first half of this year alone, almost 24,000 criminal offences reported on the TfL network, so that's the tubes, buses, and some of the rail lines as well. And the bulk of those are theft, but that will also include a large number of sexual offences and some violent offences as well. And you're right, a lot of people don't feel safe on the network, particularly late at night when it's perhaps less busy, there's fewer other people around who might be able to intervene if an incident happens. And people have got every right to look to the mayor and the police to do more to try and make us feel safe. And one of the things that that I'm very, very passionate about is the use of stop and search. In the last 3 years, the use of stop and search on London streets has halved. That was something that the Met Commissioner, Mark Rowley, admitted a few months ago at one of the meetings I was at. And at the same time, the level of knife crime, recorded knife crime, has gone up every single year since the pandemic and is now roughly 2/3 higher than it was when Sadiq Khan was first elected. Now, I think that's a great tool, a technique to get weapons off the street. It's not the only thing the police should be doing, but it is certainly a weapon that should be in their arsenal as they try and tackle that. And if we're doing things like that less, it's no surprise that more weapons and knives are out there, and then you've got the potential for things like this to happen. But also just the general kind of feeling and culture on the network. I don't know if you're unfortunate enough to make great use of either the Bakerloo line or the Central line, but those two lines in particular, the condition of the carriages is absolutely filthy, top to toe, covered in graffiti. That creates an oppressive kind of environment in which you don't feel safe. Fare evasion, huge issue right across the network. If your first act on joining the transport network is to barge your way through the barrier and commit an offence doing so, there's every likelihood that your next act on the network will also be to commit a more serious offence. So we've got to get to grips with these problems. The mayor's got to take a lead on that. That's what he's elected to do, but that's what he's failing to do.
100%. Listen, Alex, thank you very much indeed for your time. Alex Wilson, Reform UK London Assembly member.